Imagine you could ask a Zen master a single question, not about enlightenment or the meaning of life or any of the vast questions we imagine monks sit with. Just one ordinary practical question. What does the perfect home look like? You might expect something poetic and unhelpful, something about the home being within, or the true dwelling being the present moment. And you'd get some of that, but if you pressed him, if you asked what the perfect actual home, the physical space you live in, should really contain, the answer would be startling in its simplicity. Almost nothing. Not because the Zen master is poor, or ascetic for its own sake, or opposed to comfort, but because he understands something about homes and about the human mind that the modern world has almost completely forgotten. He understands that everything you bring into your home, you also carry in your mind, that every object asks something of you, and that the space itself, the emptiness we spend so much money and effort trying to fill, is not the absence of something valuable. It is the valuable thing. Today, I want to walk you through how a Zen master would actually describe the perfect home, the principles underneath that startling almost nothing, and why a room with very little in it can do something for a human being that a room full of beautiful possessions never can. And I promise you, by the end, you may look around your own home and feel something you didn't expect, not shame at how much you own, but a kind of quiet longing for how much lighter it could feel. Before we go on, a quiet note. The Japanese home was never really about the method. It's about a home that lets you rest, instead of one more thing to keep perfect. I wrote a small book on that idea, Wabi Sabi, Finding Peace in an Imperfect Life. First link below, if it calls to you. For now, let's keep going. Stay with me until the fourth principle, because that's the one that flips the entire way we think about our belongings. It's the one that explains why the fullest homes often feel the emptiest, and why the emptiest can feel the most complete. But it only makes sense once you understand the three ideas that come first. Let's begin. First, the room that changed everything. To understand the Zen master's answer, you have to understand where it comes from. And it comes, in large part, from a room. Centuries ago in Japan, the tea ceremony became one of the highest expressions of Zen-influenced culture. And the room where it took place, the tea room, was a quiet rebellion against everything the powerful of the age valued. In a time when status was shown through gold, through imported treasures, through crowded displays of wealth, the tea masters built rooms that contained almost nothing at all. A small, simple space, bare walls, a single scroll perhaps, one flower in a plain vase, a humble, slightly irregular bowl, chosen precisely because it was humble, made by human hands rather than gleaming and perfect. And empty space. Deliberate, generous, breathing empty space. This was not poverty. These were sophisticated, cultured people, many of them wealthy, who could have filled a room with anything they wished. They chose emptiness on purpose because they had discovered something. They had discovered that a room stripped down to almost nothing does something to the person inside it. The mind quiets, the senses sharpen. The single flower, given space, becomes more beautiful than 100 flowers crowded together. The one bowl, truly seen, holds more meaning than a shelf of treasures glanced at and forgotten. The tea room was a machine for presence, and it worked by subtraction. Everything unnecessary was removed until only what mattered remained, and in that emptiness, what mattered could finally be felt. This is the seed of the Zen master's perfect home. Not a home that displays your life, but a home that clears space for you to actually live it. And notice what those tea masters understood that we've lost, that a space shapes the person inside it. A crowded, chaotic room produces a crowded, chaotic mind. A calm, spare-ordered room produces a calm and ordered one. They weren't decorating, they were building an environment that would do something specific to whoever entered it. Quiet them, focus them, return them to the present moment. The room was a tool, and its emptiness was the mechanism. That is the idea we're going to follow, principle by principle, into the home you actually live in. Principle 1. Every object you own owns a piece of you. Here is the first thing the Zen master understands that we don't. Nothing you own is free. We think of possessions as neutral. You buy a thing, you own it, it sits there, and that's the end of the transaction. But the Zen view is that every object you bring into your home makes a continuous, quiet claim on you for as long as you keep it. It must be stored, cleaned, maintained, moved out of the way, organized, looked at, thought about, insured, repaired, eventually replaced or disposed of. Each object is a small ongoing obligation, a tiny thread running from the thing to you, drawing on your attention whether you notice it or not. Own a few things, and those threads are light. Own a great many things, and you are held in place by thousands of them at once. A web of quiet obligations so dense you can no longer feel where it begins. This is why a cluttered home is so subtly exhausting to be in, even when you're doing nothing. You're not doing nothing. Some part of your mind is registering and managing and being claimed by every single object in the room. The Zen master's insight is that this cost is real and that we pay it constantly without ever counting it. And so the question he would ask of every object in your home is not, is this nice, or might I use this someday? It is something far more demanding. Is what this gives me worth what it takes from me? For most of what fills the average home, the honest answer is no. Consider how this plays out in an ordinary room. The decorative objects on the shelf give you a small, occasional pleasure, but each one must be dusted, arranged, moved, and worked around forever. The gadget bought in a moment of enthusiasm gives you nothing now, but still demands its drawer, its space, its share of the clutter you navigate every day. The might need it someday pile gives you a vague sense of security while quietly costing you the room it occupies, and the mental weight of knowing it's there. Multiply these small transactions across an entire home, and you begin to see what the Zen master sees: a person slowly buried, not by any single object, but by the accumulated tax of all of them together. A tax paid in space, in effort, and in attention, every single day, whether or not the objects are ever used at all. The principle: everything you own asks something of you in return. Own only what's worth the asking. Principle 2: empty space is not nothing. Now, the idea that sits at the very center of the Zen master's perfect home, and the one hardest for the modern mind to accept. There is a concept in Japanese aesthetics called ma. It is usually translated as negative space, or the space between, but those translations miss its depth. Ma is the idea that emptiness is not a void to be filled, not a lack, not a failure, but a positive presence in its own right. It is the pause in a piece of music that gives the notes their meaning. It is the silence in a conversation that lets words land. It is the empty space in a room that lets everything else breathe. To the Western eye, an empty wall is a problem. An empty corner is an opportunity. An empty shelf is an invitation. We see emptiness and we feel a low compulsion to fill it, to hang something, place something, store something, until every surface is occupied and the room is finished. We treat empty space as unfinished space. The Zen master sees this exactly backwards. To him, the empty space is the finished thing. It's not that the room is waiting to be filled. It's that the room has been given the one thing most homes lack: room to breathe. The emptiness is not the absence of value. It is the value. A room with generous empty space feels calm, open, and alive, precisely because nothing is crowding your senses, and your mind is given somewhere to rest. This is the deepest reason the perfect home has almost nothing in it. Not because things are bad, but because emptiness is good, actively, positively good. And the modern habit of filling every space destroys the very thing that would have made the room feel peaceful. And there is a real mechanism underneath this, not just an aesthetic preference. Every object in your field of vision is a small demand on your attention, something your mind quietly registers, sorts, and holds, whether or not you're aware of it. A room crowded with things is a room broadcasting a constant, low hum of visual information at you all day long. You don't consciously perceive it as noise, but your nervous system does, and the result is a subtle, nameless restlessness. The feeling of being unable to fully settle in a space you can't understand why you can't relax in. Empty space silences that hum. It gives the mind nothing to process, and in that quiet, something in you finally unclenches. This is why walking into a spare, uncluttered room produces such an immediate and physical sense of calm, a feeling almost everyone has had, and almost no one can explain. It isn't mystical. Your senses have simply, for once, been given room to rest. The principle, empty space is not wasted space. It is the presence that lets everything, including you, breathe. Principle 3. A few things deeply loved beats many things barely seen. The Zen master's home is not empty out of deprivation. This is the misunderstanding people fall into. They hear almost nothing and imagine a cold, bare, joyless cell. But that's not it at all. The Zen home is not about having less for its own sake. It's about having the right things and giving them the space to actually matter. Here is the paradox at the heart of it. When you own a great many things, you appreciate each one less. The beautiful object is lost in the crowd of other objects. The shelf of 100 books is barely seen. No single one is truly noticed. Abundance dulls attention. When you have too much of anything, you stop seeing it at all. It becomes background, wallpaper, clutter. But take that same beautiful object and give it space. Set the single flower in the empty alcove. Place the one bowl you love where nothing crowds it. Suddenly, it is seen. It is appreciated. It becomes a source of genuine, repeated pleasure because there is nothing competing for your attention. This is why the tea master chose one flower over 100, not because he loved beauty less, but because he loved it more, enough to give it the space it needed to actually be felt. So the Zen master's home is not a home with nothing in it. It is a home with only what is loved or needed in it, and everything that remains is given room to be fully present. Fewer things, more deeply enjoyed. This is a richer way to live, not a poorer one. The person surrounded by 100 barely noticed possessions is, in the way that matters, poorer than the person with a few things they truly see and love. The principle: it is better to own a few things fully than many things barely. Space is what turns a possession into a pleasure. Principle 4. You are not your possessions. Here it is, the fourth principle, the one that flips the entire way we think about the things we own. And it's the deepest idea in this whole video. In the modern world, we have quietly come to believe that our possessions are a kind of external record of who we are. The things we own display our taste, our success, our history, our identity. The full home, in this view, is a full self, a rich accumulation of everything we've done and become and acquired. To have little would be to be little. Emptiness would feel like erasure. The Zen master sees this as precisely backwards, and precisely the source of our suffering. Because the more you tie your sense of self to what you own, the more fragile and burdened you become. You can't let anything go, because letting go feels like losing a piece of yourself. Your home fills up and can never be emptied, because every object has become a small anchor to your identity, the person you were when you bought it, the life you imagined, the self you're afraid to release. And this is why the fullest homes so often feel, strangely, the heaviest. They aren't full of things, they're full of anchors, objects held on to not because they serve the present, but because letting them go means admitting something has passed. The guilt purchase, the gift you never liked, the clothes from a version of your body or your life, that's gone. The hobby supplies from the person you thought you'd become. Each one holds you in the past, and together they make a home you cannot move within, cannot clear, cannot rest in. The Zen master's liberation is this: you are not your possessions. You never were. The self is not stored in objects, and letting an object go does not diminish you. It frees you. Your memories live in you, not in the trinket. Your identity is not held in the crowded shelf. When you truly understand that you are not the things you own, the home can finally empty and become light and become a place that holds your present life rather than a museum of your past. This is why the emptiest Zen home can feel the most complete, because it belongs entirely to the person living in it now, unburdened by the weight of everything they were afraid to release. The principle: you are not what you own. Letting go doesn't shrink you, it frees you. What the perfect home actually is. So let's put it all together and describe the home the Zen master sees. It is a home with almost nothing in it, but not from poverty and not from cold, joyless denial. It is spare because every object left in it has earned its place, either by being genuinely needed or by being genuinely loved. It is a home where empty space is protected as something precious, so that the room and the mind can breathe. It is a home where the few things that remain are given space enough to actually be seen and enjoyed. And it is a home owned by someone who understands that they are not their belongings, and so can hold their possessions lightly, keep what serves the present, and release the rest without fear. And here's what such a home does to the person who lives in it, which is the entire point. It calms them. A space with little in it and much room to breathe quietly settles the nervous system in a way a crowded home never can. It frees them from the endless management of too much, from the weight of 1,000 small obligations, from the anchors to a past they've outgrown. And it returns them to the present, to the actual life happening now, unburdened by the accumulated weight of everything they've ever acquired. That's the secret the Zen master understands. The perfect home is not the one that displays the most or holds the most. It is the one that asks the least of you and gives the most room for you to simply be. Emptiness, it turns out, is not what's missing from a home. Very often, it's the one thing a home most needs. And here's what matters for you tonight. You don't have to empty your home. You don't have to become a monk or strip your life bare or throw everything away. But you might do one small thing. Look around the room you're in right now and find one object, just one, that you keep out of habit or guilt or the vague sense that you should, but that gives you nothing in return. And let it go. Then notice the small space it leaves behind. Notice how that little emptiness feels, not like a lack, but like a breath. That feeling, that small exhale of space, is the beginning of everything the Zen master is describing. The perfect home is built not by what you add, but by what you have the wisdom to release. Now, I'd genuinely like to know, look around your home. Is it full of things you love and use, or full of things you're simply holding on to? Tell me honestly in the comments. And if this gave you a lighter way to see your own space, share it with one person whose home and whose mind could use a little more room to breathe. I'll see you in the next one.